Alexander the Great, the man who conquered the world before 30. مكتوب بأسلوب وثائقي درامي يناسب قناتك. Intro, the king who changed history. Imagine being only 20 years old and suddenly becoming king. Not of a small tribe, not of a peaceful land, but of a kingdom surrounded by enemies. Most young rulers would spend years trying to secure their throne. But Alexander of Macedon had a different vision. He didn't just want to rule a kingdom, he wanted to conquer the world. Within just 13 years, he would destroy the greatest empire on earth. He would defeat armies many times larger than his own. He would march thousands of miles across deserts, mountains, and unknown lands. And before the age of 32, he would build one of the largest empires in human history. This is the story of Alexander the Great. Chapter 1. The Boy Who Was Born to Rule. Alexander was born in 356 BC in the Kingdom of Macedon. His father, King Philip II, was already one of the most powerful rulers in Greece. Philip transformed Macedon into a military powerhouse. He created the famous Macedonian phalanx, a formation of soldiers carrying long spears called sarissas. But Alexander's true advantage came from his education. His teacher was not just any scholar, it was Aristotle. Yes, one of the greatest philosophers in human history. Aristotle taught Alexander about philosophy, science, politics, medicine, literature. He also filled Alexander's mind with stories of heroes like Achilles. Alexander admired Achilles so much that he carried a copy of the Iliad with him during campaigns. From a young age, Alexander believed something extraordinary. He believed he was destined for greatness. Chapter 2. The Horse No One Could Tame. One story from Alexander's childhood became legendary. A powerful horse named Bucephalus was brought to King Philip. The horse was wild, no one could ride it. Many soldiers tried, all failed. Young Alexander watched carefully. Then he noticed something others didn't. The horse was afraid of its own shadow. So Alexander turned the horse toward the sun, removing the shadow. Then he calmly mounted it. The horse obeyed. Find yourself a kingdom equal to your ambitions, because Macedon is too small for you. Chapter 3. Becoming King at 20. In 336 BC, Philip II was assassinated. Alexander was only 20 years old. Many Greek cities believed the young king would be weak. They rebelled. Alexander responded immediately. He marched south with lightning speed. The city of Thebes resisted. Alexander destroyed it completely. Thousands were killed. Others were sold into slavery. The message was clear. The new king was not weak. Greece quickly submitted. Now Alexander was ready for his true goal, the conquest of the Persian Empire. Chapter 4. The War Against Persia. At the time, Persia was the most powerful empire in the world. It stretched from Egypt to India. Its ruler was King Darius III. His armies were enormous. Some historians estimate hundreds of thousands of soldiers. Alexander's army? Around 40,000 men. But Alexander had something Persia lacked: speed, strategy, and absolute confidence. In 334 BC, Alexander crossed the Hellespont into Asia. The war had begun. Chapter 5. The Battle of Issus. The first major clash with Darius happened at the Battle of Issus in 333 BC. Darius arrived with a massive army. Alexander's forces were vastly outnumbered. But the battlefield worked in Alexander's favor. The narrow terrain prevented the Persian army from using its full size. Alexander personally led a cavalry charge directly toward Darius. The Persian king panicked and fled. Once the king ran, the army collapsed. It was a stunning victory. For the first time, the Persian Empire had been seriously shaken. Chapter 6. The Siege of Tyre. Next came one of the most difficult battles of Alexander's career, the city of Tyre. Tyre was located on an island, protected by massive walls rising from the sea. Alexander had no navy strong enough to attack it. So he did something incredible. He built a massive stone causeway from the mainland to the island. It took 7 months. Finally, his army reached the walls. The city fell. Tyre was destroyed. This victory shocked the ancient world. No city seemed impossible anymore. Chapter 7. The Conquest of Egypt. After Tyre, Alexander marched into Egypt. Instead of fighting, Egypt welcomed him. The Egyptians hated Persian rule. They saw Alexander as a liberator. He was crowned Pharaoh of Egypt. During his time there, Alexander founded a city that would become one of the greatest centers of learning in history, Alexandria. Chapter 8. The Final Battle with Darius. In 331 BC, Alexander and Darius met again, this time at the Battle of Gaugamela. Darius had prepared carefully. His army was massive: war chariots, cavalry, infantry. But Alexander used brilliant tactics. He created a gap in the Persian lines, then led a direct cavalry strike toward Darius. Once again, the Persian king fled, and once again, his army collapsed. The Persian Empire was finished. Alexander marched into Babylon, Susa, and Persepolis. He was now the ruler of the greatest empire on earth. Chapter 9. The March to India. But Alexander wasn't satisfied. He continued east, through Central Asia, across mountains, into India. His army fought fierce battles against local kings, including the famous King Porus. Even after winning, Alexander respected Porus and allowed him to remain king. But by now his soldiers were exhausted. They had marched for over 8 years, thousands of miles. They refused to go further. Reluctantly, Alexander agreed to return. Chapter 10. The Mysterious Death. In 323 BC, Alexander returned to Babylon. He was only 32 years old. Then suddenly, he became ill. After days of fever, he died. No one knows exactly why. Possible causes include illness, poisoning, infection. His empire had no clear successor. Within years, his generals divided it, but his legend remained. Conclusion: why he was called the Great. Alexander achieved something almost impossible. In just 13 years, he conquered most of the known world. He spread Greek culture across 3 continents. His empire connected civilizations. And even today, more than 2,000 years later, his name still echoes through history. Alexander was not just a conqueror, he was a legend. Alexander the Great. Alexander the Great.